Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 4th of February, 2022, Friday of the fourth week in Ordinary Time. It is also our last in-person day here at the Franciscan School to celebrate Catholic Schools Week. This is the sixth day of Catholic Schools Week. Tomorrow we will have a family event in the parking lot area, a drive-in movie, beginning at about 6:30. So we're celebrating, coming to the conclusion of our celebration of Catholic Schools Week. Very early reflection this morning as opposed to a very late afternoon reflection yesterday. Here again in the courtyard, as you can see, it's raining, so our morning prayer will be inside today. But again, a little bit of a closer look at the statue of St. Francis and the Wolf of Gubbio that came from Italy, that graces our courtyard, again, where we gather for morning prayer every morning when it's not raining. So our readings for today, we move from the book of Kings, the book of Samuel, to the book of Sirach. And in the book of Sirach, we listen to this great praise of King David, this kind of great eulogy to who he was and what he represented. And Sirach goes into the marvelous things that David was able to accomplish, being the first great king, again, the second king after Saul of Israel, but the first of the great kings, and perhaps next to Solomon, again, the only other great king in the history of the monarchy of Israel. But again, Sirach gives great praise to David's work and to what David was able to accomplish, again, recognizing the fact that God was with him and that God enabled David to become as great as he was able to become. And the more that David listened to God, the greater he became. The less he listened to God, the more trouble and the more challenges David faced. True of all of us in many ways. To listen to God brings wonder and amazement, but to not listen to God brings, unfortunately, pain and sorrow. In the gospel today, we hear Mark's account of the beheading of John the Baptist. So again, it's a very interesting sort of mix between the two readings. The Baptist, again, being arrested, and because he did not agree that Herod should marry his brother's wife Herodias, and Herodias not liking what John the Baptist had to say about him, again tries to engineer his death, and she is successful by doing that with, again, her daughter dancing a dance that enthralls Herod, and Herod goes because either he is drunk or something else, and he promises the daughter of Herodias anything. Again, she is not named Salome. Again, that comes from an operetta, that comes from a musical later on, but she is just the daughter of Herodias, and she has this awful request that Herod has to abide by, and that is to bring the head of the Baptist on a platter. Again, the whole idea of abuse of a child, the whole idea of vengeful death, the whole idea of not being able, to listen to when the prophets speak to us, is part of all the great tragedy of the Baptist, and yet he becomes the one who points the way to the Messiah, even though he himself will suffer, again, a horrible tragedy because of it. His courage to be able to still point the way to who the Messiah is, to the one who brings hope in the midst of despair, to the one who brings peace in the midst of conflict and division, the one who brings life out of death. The Baptist is the one who points that way. And even in his death, again, the courage to be able to face the lunacy and the ridiculousness of life with this faith and belief that God will deliver him is a model for all of us in many ways in which we have to face the lunacies and the absurdities of life, can model ourselves after. With doing that, again, we give hope to this world. If we are able to do that, we live out the reign of peace, the reign of the Messiah in our midst. And may the Lord give you his peace.